Hi, let's talk about music. Alright, so I'm starting a little bit of a series on my page where I talk about certain K-pop albums. Um, you know, I listen to quite a bit of K-pop, and one thing I never really did in the past was listen to the albums a lot of the time. I only really listen to like the title tracks or the B-side. Like sometimes certain comebacks come with like the title track and they release like a B-side that comes along with it, and the only thing I would ever watch. But I am going to be doing a little bit more of a deep dive on different albums from the groups I listen to. So let's get into it. Also, cautionary tale. This is all opinion based. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's law, and just because I love it doesn't mean it's law either. I'm just trying to have a discussion and see what other people think too about certain albums that get released. But anyways, let's get into I'm Perfect. Sorry, Imperfect, I'm Perfect. This was dropped by the group 50/50, their most recent album. And this album overall is kind of interesting. So I want to go by each song individually and tell you my thoughts and opinions on certain ones. Now, for the first two songs, I actually did a reaction to on my page, so if you want to go check them out, you can go do that. Or if you don't want to, you don't have to, okay? But I do share a little bit more I guess, in-person feelings when I'm just experiencing them in those little videos. So if you want to go check them out, you can go check them out, but I don't really give a fuck. Anyway, bye. Anyways, let's get into the first track of the album, which is Starstruck. Now, I believe this is from a little, like, web series they did. I'm not too sure, but it's, I think, in honor of like their anniversary or something like that. But Starstruck as a title track, or like more like the head of the album, didn't really stand out to me. It's not my favorite of the album. It very much sounds like something I would like, but it just doesn't really hit the right mark for me. So Starstruck as a whole doesn't really capture my eye. Now the next song, Like a Bubble. I also reacted to this one on my page, and this is the official title track, I believe, of the EP/album. And I'm gonna say it's fairly interesting. It definitely has potential to be very catchy. Whenever I hear a song, it is not always my first reaction is never my last reaction to it. Literally, like 2 weeks from now, I could be singing Like a Bubble, and I could be like, I hate it today. It's just like it's off and on. Like my first reaction is never gonna be my last reaction to it. Definitely the song has a lot of interesting moments to it. Overall, I don't really know. It's just I don't know what it is that doesn't really like draw me into it. But it definitely sounds like something I would like. But it's just I don't know. It doesn't really hit the mark. Some favorite parts of it are actually Kina's rap, and also one thing I want to note is like it also sounds like something very familiar to me, which is one of Billy's tracks. Not like it's like copying it entirely, but I mean it just reminds me of them, or it's very reminiscent of the music they created or like had in the past, which I thought was kind of interesting in a way. I don't know if they like borrowed inspiration or anything like that, but it sounds very reminiscent of Billy. Also to mention, also another part I liked about the song was the bridge. So those very key, interesting moments, Kina's rap and like the bridge section. So yeah, that's Like a Bubble. Next song on the album is Took It Too Far. This would actually be my first favorite of the album, and I think it kind of fits the sound like I'm very into. It reminds me very much of if you're a fan of Selena Gomez, her song "Bad Liar." I don't know exactly what delivers it to me like that way, but it just reminds me so much of "Bad Liar." It's a very smooth, like nonchalant song, paired with like very pretty vocals, which that's a meal for me every fucking day of the week. Now let's get into the next song, which is Perfect. Now this would actually rank third in my list for my favorites of the group, or of the EP, but I definitely think it could fight for the rank of second too. So it just depends on what day I'm feeling that song or not, I guess. Again, it's a very smooth and pretty song. The vocals are very nice, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a little repetitive, which I think it works for it in a certain way. Now for our next song, which is Genie Magic. This one, it's okay. I don't know. It's not my favorite of the tracks. It's just not really up my alley. I'm not too sure why. Yeah, yeah, I can't really say it. And also, this one's another repetitive kind of song, but it's not a good repetitive. It's a bad repetitive in my book. Now heading on to the final song of the EP slash album, whatever the fuck, is the actual my second rank, which is Carry On. And like I said, this could fight for third or second with what's it, Perfect, and I think they'd be fine. It depends on the day when I'm listening to them. Again, another very smooth and pretty sounding vocal track. I don't. Hold on, what am I trying to say? I think it's a very solid closing song. Also, it very much reminds me of "Loving Me" by 50/50. They very much could be cousins. I don't know if it's like inspired by "Loving Me" because I don't know what exactly how old 50/50 relates to new 50/50 because I don't know how they share music. I know they have a lot of legal shit going on. I'm not too sure. I don't know if they won the rights to that song, but I feel like they could be cousins, and I feel like they made it just because "Loving Me" is very reminiscent of it. It's overall, it's kind of a very cinematic kind of track. Now, since the album is done, my overall ranking for this album is a bit middle of the road. Overall, I would give it a 6.5 or either a 6 out of 10. I think you honestly have to listen to all of it to get the whole picture of the album. You have to get the whole picture kind of delivered to you in this way. I don't know. It's just I think it works as a collective, but not individually. Definitely. Like a Bubble and Starstruck were really not enough to sell me on the album, I could say, and it's kind of sad, but also it's like it is what it is. But overall, I don't think it's a bad album at all. I think it's a very solid album, but it's definitely not comparable to some things that they have released in the past. And I think it's kind of a very experimental album at that too. So overall, I just think it's all right. I don't know. Let me know what you think about 50/50's new album, Imperfect, I'm Perfect. Yeah, that's my thoughts about that little album shit. I don't know. Bye. I guess I'm leaving. Get me out. Get me out of here.